Hi everyone, welcome back to the Practice Within podcast. I am your host, Amanda L, and today we are switching things up a little bit. This is not the direction that I intended to go today with this episode, but it's something that is relevant in my life at this point in time, and these YouTube videos / podcasts, whatever and wherever you're listening to this on, are just an extension of my Substack. And my Substack, you can find linked down below, but I write the Substack and then I create this YouTube video / podcast in conjunction with the Substack. And so a lot of times I'm just reading or going off of the notes on my Substack. And so this week has been a little bit different than usual. And I had a post that I was planning on writing all about homeopathy 101. And that will be coming next week because something happened in my life that I just had to write about. And that's first and foremost, I am a writer before I'm a YouTuber, before I'm a yoga teacher, before I'm a podcaster, before I'm any of these things, before I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, before I do anything, my creative expression is to write. I journal every single day. I've been doing it for years, and that is just what I'm drawn to. And so when my last childhood pets, my last cat that grew up with me, passed away yesterday, I knew I had to write about it. I sat down to write Homeopathy 101, and I could not think about Homeopathy 101 because I was thinking about life, and I was thinking about death, and I was thinking about my cat and what all of this means, and just, more like I was thinking about things in a deeper and different space than educating on homeopathy. And so today we're talking about death, we're talking about dying, but we're also talking about living. And this isn't necessarily a morbid episode, video, podcast, but the topic is about death, and I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, and I know depending on where you're at in life, you might not be in a space to want to consume this type of content, and that is okay. You can definitely, tune into it later or never, turn it off, whatever you need, but I just wanted to give a little disclaimer up front. Molly is here. If you can hear anything, she is back. But just a little disclaimer up front, just in case you're going through something and you really don't want to be consuming this type of content. But yeah, this is my own personal thoughts and experiences. It's kind of like a brain dump. I make no judgment on anybody else's choices. I don't mean to sound any type of way other than just expressing myself in this moment. I recognize we all have individual gifts, individual capacities, and everything like that. So this is just my observation, and this is just my experience. And that's what this is. And if you prefer to see it in the written form, you can check that out as well in the link down below. And let's get into it. So, life and death, they're both happening all around us all of the time. Laughing babies and zooming dogs, the passing of someone close, smashing a bug for no good reason, spending time with friends, sterile hospital rooms, climbing a mountain, a birth announcement, an obituary, the opening of a door, a new opportunity, the closing of one, a final goodbye. Last night, I sat on the floor with my last childhood pet as death approached her. On the other side of me was Lily, and if you know Lily, Lily was being Lily. She is full of excitement, full of zest, all the time. And as I observed that, I was just like, wow, this is duality at its finest. On one side, there is a being exiting its body, exiting this earthly plane in the human, or not the human, in the physical expression of it. And then on the other side of me is Lily, so full of life and just ready to play and ready to go all of the time, truly living. So that duality, I was hit with it. And I can't help but to think about how we tend to look away from both, from that life, that feeling of being fully alive, and that death, that finality, that ending. Because nobody wants to watch anybody die. Death isn't pretty. It can be painful and messy and unpredictable. Most die in hospitals, nursing homes, or vet offices, and then they're shipped off to a funeral home to be tended to there. And while those services are wonderful and needed, they enable us to look away, which in turn stops us from fully living. When I was 18, I learned that life can slip through our fingertips in an instant. No longer was it a grandparent, an elderly relative, or a pet that was dying. This time it was 3 friends, also my age, and it happened very unexpectedly. They were here 1 minute, and they were gone the next. They weren't sick, not old. It wasn't supposed to happen. Of course, I knew that death could come for anybody at any time, but until it touches you in that way, in that unexpected way of things, you're unable to fully comprehend the surprise attack. And then, 9 years later, death took my 7-year-old dog in the most unexpected way. I was no longer able to grasp a sense of security in my life and in living, as it felt like the end could come for anybody at any time. After all, I had 4 examples now of how that could happen. Just here, and now they're gone. And while that's true for any of us at any point in time, I know that living in that fear is not any way to live, because you're not truly living. You are succumbed to this fear based on experiences. And while there isn't necessarily a good time to die, at the time of recording this, at the time of this all happening, it is December, the beginning of December, and December seems fitting. Winter, darkness, stillness all around. We keep trying to go, 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 while nature is telling us to stop. Nature is telling us to stop, to slow down, be still. And grief is akin to nature, also urging us to stop, slow down, and be still. Society, on the other hand, demands that we continue on business as usual. But if we follow the rhythms of nature, it will guide us to process in ways that weekly therapy and pill bottles can't often touch, showing us that the cycles of the seasons are something that we can mimic if we choose to do so, going inward for a bit so that eventually we can blossom once again. Spring will come once again, no matter how long the darkness seems to stretch on. Those flowers bloom eventually. And our experiences shape us, of course, and because of mine, I very much live with death in mind. And sure, that sounds morbid, but with the right balance, it brings me closer to life, to fully living. And I lost that for a while, the present moment, feeling fully invested in life, able to experience and touch each thing that I interacted with, excitement, feeling alive. It was gone for a period of time. And I always come back to that Mary Oliver quote, it still rings true, it will ring true forever. Are you breathing just a little and calling it a life? After some tough years of working through all of that stuff and more, and not truly living, I now show up differently. I want to experience it all, not just the good. I recognize that this could be the last holiday that the core group of people that I celebrate all the holidays with could be together for whatever reason. And so I show up fully. Not on my phone distracted by eye-catching videos or wishing that I could be back home in my sweatpants. Instead, I show up present. I engage. Prior to, I make sugar cookies that take me hours to make because of how I like to decorate them and because everybody at the events enjoy them. I make sure to not only be there physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. And so Mitch said, "Are you going to sit there and watch her die?" He asked me this last night as I sat on the floor with my cat. And that's not exactly what I was doing, but kind of. I just don't try to be fully present in the life-giving, the positive moments, but I also now have the capacity to sit with the life-ending, the more quote-unquote negative moments too. Because nobody deserves to die alone. And holding space for others is a real thing. Others might not be able to sit in that space to be with the being who is on the brink of moving on. But I know now that I can, and so I do. It's just as much a part of experiencing life fully as anything else, after all. Experiencing those dualities makes each one of them more potent and more special. How could I fully live without touching the reality of what's on the opposite side of that? That's kind of what I have come to understand through this all over the years. And I'm not just talking about settling into a nice and cozy life with a 401k and 2 weeks of vacation. I'm talking about going skydiving, taking road trips, meeting new people, starting that business, going all in on that thing. How do I do it all to the fullest extent without the experience of witnessing the mortality of it all? How can I be fully present if I don't touch that other side of living as well? And so almost 6 years ago now, when I found out in a very unexpected circumstance that I had to make the decision that every pet owner dreads, I walked into that room and I did not cry. I knew that it would be upsetting to my dog, and I didn't want her last minutes to be upsetting. So I was happy. I talked to her, I pet her, and I was fully present in that moment of being with her. Fully present in recognizing that this is it. These are the final moments. This is the final time that we will be together in this capacity. Fully present, fully living. After it was all said and done, I walked out the back door that they led me to, and I collapsed in the middle of the parking lot in front of other people in their cars. This was during COVID, sitting in their cars waiting for their pets. And I was unable to breathe from crying so hard. I was feeling it all, which is an important aspect of life, an important aspect of being alive, of truly living. That's the life that carries on after the death, the new beginning, one with a gaping hole that can never quite be filled. You meet that moment not when you're ready, because you never are, but instead you meet it when it decides to land in your orbit. Last night, it decided to arrive again. This time, it was ready to take an elderly cat, one that I now think of when I see a carton of milk that she loved in the fridge. She was a big raw milk fan. And now I look for her when I pass her favorite spots to nap. They are now empty. We try to look away, to comfort each other's empty spaces. Other people's grief makes us feel uncomfortable, not quite sure how to be, almost afraid that if we get too close, it will touch us too. And that's only living half a life. One foot in the door, the other one out. A peek behind the curtain, but not too much. A missing piece because the process of meeting death, of sitting with it, and what comes after is a part of living too. You can't have one without the other. They must both coexist, because they do. And so that means we must look at them both, at the coexistence of both. And to live fully, we must also be able to hold both, to sit with, feel, observe, and express the dualities of life. Because after all, The once in a lifetime mountaintop sunrise looks a lot more vibrant if you've also sat with the final goodbye. And that is kind of what I am thinking about lately, is just the dualities of life. How the good moments, we all know this is like pretty cliche to say, but the good moments are seen as so much better because we have seen the struggle. We have been through the struggle. And I think the death and the grief and that whole pocket of the human experience is one that we shy away from, but one that if we really lean into it, if we look at it, if we become unafraid of it and respectful of it, if we're able to do that and hold that space, then everything else on the opposite side of that becomes even brighter, becomes even more of a special experience, becomes something that you just are fully submersed in. Like I know that we all have some type of story of loss in whatever way it may be. And I encourage you to look at those things and to fully feel them, to allow yourself to feel them, but to not get stuck in them, so that you can feel it, you can be with it, experience it, and then you can come over to this other side and transmute that energy into something beautiful and life-giving and just expressive. You come over here, you experience. You go over there, you express. It's all just this swirling of energy that is all around us all the time. And so with the passing of my cat, I have been, even more submersed in this. I have been grateful for the experiences. I am grateful that I was able to witness that and hold that space for her. And I think it's something that we can, as a society, discuss more, think about more, maybe be with more if you have the capabilities, the capacity to do so. And just to, just be thinking about. And just the whole concept of the practice within here is to do things differently, to see things differently, to experience life in a way that is not the status quo. And so as I'm sharing this and as I'm wrapping up this podcast, I am realizing that this concept of death and the way that I see it and the way that I can sit with it is just another expression of doing things differently, of not going to the doctor to get some type of medication for grief, for sadness, for depression, for something that you can very well work through and should work through and not suppress, for being able to sit with a being as they move on and just recognizing the power in that, the beauty in that, the respect for life in that, and just seeing this all in a different way instead of just closed caskets, closed doors, unfinished sentences, and just shying away from all of that. How can we lean in? How can we open ourselves to the full experience of life, to fully, truly be with it all, and to do things differently, to show up here and to do things differently. So that's all I have for you today. It's a little different than usual, a little different than what I expected to be sharing. But like I said, we will be back to homeopathy next week. And we'll be back to educating next week. But I think, winter and December, as I'm sharing this, is a perfect time to kind of think about the death concept. Because even in a seasonal aspect, like December is so go, go, go because of the holidays. But December is also the start of the winter season, the time that we go from fall into winter, into the death, into the stillness, into the hibernation. which is so aligned with the process of grief, of dying, of everything. It's all so connected. And so just to kind of spark a little bit of thought, a little bit of a different perspective, I think it's a good thing. I felt a little weird about it. I was like, should I share this as a podcast? I don't know, but I feel like it will reach those who can benefit from hearing it. And I think that's about it. So if that is you, if you know somebody who could benefit from this different perspective, from hearing this, I encourage you to share it with them. Leave a rating and review. And like I said, we will be talking about homeopathy next week. So be sure to subscribe wherever you are listening or watching. And with that, I will talk to you then. Thank you for listening.